Welcome to Season 2 of the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. I'm Em, a sexologist and kinkster. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize desire in all of its forms, including darker desires. Each episode, we dive deep into the psychology of desire with a sexpert, everyday kinkster, or a kink expert. This is an independent podcast. To support it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at psychologyofdesire.com, where you'll also find deep dives into desire and surveys that you can participate in. You can also sign up there to get the podcast delivered directly to your inbox when it's released. And now for today's episode. The following conversation explores female autonomy, erotic agency, and what happens when a woman chooses her life and her body on her own terms. I'm joined by Katija Cortez, a submissive, high-end escort and content creator, to explore the psychology of choice, desire, and identity. We talk about her decision to be sterilized at 30 as a single woman, the cultural pressure surrounding motherhood, and how removing the possibility of pregnancy reshaped her relationship to her body and her erotic life. We also explore her transition from corporate accounting into sex work, what she's learned about desire and connection through her clients, and how she holds both sexual sovereignty and submissive identity at the same time. This is a conversation about autonomy, stigma, and the paradox of being both in control of your life and surrendered to your desire. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today we're exploring the Erotic Realm with Katija. Welcome, Katija.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you here. So before we jump into things, we just want to start with you as a person. What does your day-to-day life look like right now, and what do you enjoy doing with your time in terms of hobbies?
Okay, so I am an escort from Sydney. My day-to-day life is, I guess, different every day. It's a lot of gym. I feel like half my life is gym and beauty appointments. And then other than that, it's, seeing clients. It's creating safe for work and not safe for work content. That's pretty much like a daily thing, always making new content. And then in terms of hobbies, well, I guess gym kind of also a hobby. I play paddle as well, which is similar to tennis.
Okay.
And then just dinners and hanging out with friends. I'm pretty boring, to be honest. I work and I play paddle. That's pretty much the only things that I do.
Okay, fun. And let's jump into your eroticism now. So when you talk about your erotic self, how do you identify in terms of your sexuality and your kinky self?
So I would say that I am submissive in my personal life. It's funny because at work, when I'm with clients, I tend to be more dominant. I'm submissive, I guess, sometimes with clients, but there always needs to be like a layer of like dominance in bookings, just so clients know that they can't take advantage, if that makes sense. So there always has to be like a level of dominance in the bedroom at work. In my personal life, I like to be very submissive. Other than that, I feel like I'm pretty vanilla in terms of what I like.
Okay, so let's talk about a big event that happened in your life recently. You chose to be sterilized as a single childless woman at 30. Can you take us into your thought process behind this, and what was the internal conversation that led to that decision?
Yeah, so what happened was, I've never wanted kids my whole life. I can't ever remember ever wanting kids. As far back as I can remember, I was never interested in being a mother, in having a family like that. And then, so I'd always been on contraception. I'd never actually really thought about doing anything permanent. That's only just because I'd been on contraception since I was like 16. I had issues with the pill. That was the first contraception that I was on. Got off that because I had issues with it. And then I got onto the implant and rod when I was 17 or 18. And I didn't think I had any issues with it. So I stayed on that for up until I was 29. So last year's when I got it removed because so you have to change it every 3 years. And I think it was last year in about April or May, I was due to have it changed. And for whatever reason, the new one that they put in, I had so many issues with it. It was not a fun time. And then I ended up getting it taken out. And then it was so traumatic, like all of the issues that I have. And then even the removal itself was very traumatic because I booked in like an emergency removal because I just kept having all these issues. And I was like, I want this out today. So I ended up going to a GP that was not my usual GP. And she like hacked up my arm trying to get it out. She obviously had no idea what she was doing. And yeah, so the whole thing was very traumatic. So I was like, I don't want to do this again. And then after being off contraception for a little bit, I realized how much better I felt being off contraception. I didn't really realize that the rod had changed me a little bit. Like it did make me more emotional, which I didn't realize until I got off it. And then I just thought, so I think I was 29 when all of this happened. And I was like, I feel like I'm old enough now to know that I definitely don't want kids ever. So I was like, I'm sick of this hormonal contraception. I'm not doing it anymore. And then that was basically like the catalyst of what like then led me to go and get my tubes. Well, I ended up getting my tubes removed. Took about 8 months, I think, or like 6 months. No, actually, I think it was, about 8 months to like basically have it done. It was a long process, long and painful.
So you mentioned that you were having issues with the rod. What type of issues were you having? Because you said that you didn't really realize how much of an impact it was having on your life until it was taken out. So can you speak to that a bit? Because there might be other women out there that are having similar issues to you.
So the main issue that I noticed after coming off contraception was that it made me so emotional. Like I always just thought that I was just a very sensitive and emotional person. Turns out I'm not at all. Turns out I'm able to like regulate my emotions really well, but I was not able to regulate my emotions at all on the rod. I've heard of other girls having like a lot more issues on the rod. That was the only one that I had that I noticed when I got off it. But the side effects that I had when I had it changed that then led me to get it removed was I like had really bad swelling that just would not go away. I had really bad insomnia. Don't know why. And what else did I have? I had like weird, it was like just a whole bunch of like weird stuff. I think I had like really weird food cravings. Again, I don't even know if this was a side effect of the rod specifically. It just everything happened all at the same time. And then I had like really bad fatigue and like low energy. Like, so I'm usually like really big in the gym, running and stuff like that. I had like no energy. Like I had such bad fatigue. Like I like couldn't train properly. I couldn't run. Everything felt really hard and difficult. So like all of that combined together, I was, and that was very abnormal for me. Like all of those things, like I'm usually a good sleeper, usually very energetic. Usually not so swollen all of the time. So yeah, all of those things together, I'm like, something is definitely wrong with my body. And then I went to my GP and I was like, I have all of these weird symptoms that's going on. Like something isn't right. Like I've never in my life been able to I've never in my life not been able to sleep. So like that one was like the main one that I'm like, something is stopping me from sleeping and that's really weird. Cause like, oh, like all of the other things I kind of like was like, oh, like maybe there's something else that's making me like really fatigued. Maybe there's something else that's like causing me to be swollen. But like the no sleeping thing, I'm like, this one's really weird. Like I just couldn't sleep at all. Anyway, I went to the GP. I'm like, I'm having all of these really weird symptoms out of the blue and I feel fine. Otherwise, like I don't know what's going on. So then he sent me for like a whole bunch of tests to see if something was wrong. And then, it came back that nothing was wrong with me. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm dying. Like this isn't right. Like I can't run. I can't, I'm swollen. I can't sleep. Like I'm obviously something is not right here. And yeah, GP couldn't work out what was going on. Went for a bunch of tests and things. And no one thought to mention that like, oh, maybe my contraception is doing this to me. I ended up going down like this big rabbit hole, and like some people were saying that like they got these kinds of symptoms from like having their contraception changed or renewed or something like that. And I was like, maybe that's what it is. So then that's when I ended up booking like the emergency removal, and then I was like gaslit by this doctor, and she's like, oh no, it's definitely not the contraception that's making you feel this way. And I'm like, well, I'm happy to be wrong. if it's not the contraception, but like I'd like to just get it taken out. And she argued with me for like half an hour because she didn't want to remove it. And I'm like, I feel like I'm allowed to want this out of my body and I don't really need a reason. Yeah. So then she ended up taking it out, which took about 2 hours. Cause I'm assuming it must have been her first time ever taking one of these like rods out. It took her about 2 hours and she like hacked up my entire arm. I had to get stitches all up and down my arm because she just kept slicing and dicing and trying to get it out and couldn't. And then, well, I turned out to be right because literally within like 24 hours, I felt normal again. And I'm like, that was really weird. And then, yeah, that whole saga was so off-putting that I'm like, I'm never doing this again.
No wonder. It sounds really traumatic.
Oh, it was.
So how quickly after the rod was removed did these issues resolve?
Oh, literally, it was like within 24 hours.
Really?
Like 24, 48 hours, yeah. I felt
so you started
again.
sleeping straight away?
Yep. Yeah. Well, there was a whole like, so yes, like all of those side effects went away. But then I was basically bedridden for like 2 weeks because like the hormonal changes from like not being on contraception for the first time in, I think it was like 14 or something years at that time. So yeah, and I don't remember any doctors telling me that I would get really sick coming off contraception for the first time when I hadn't been on it for ages. But when I started posting about it on my Instagram, a lot of my friends were like, oh my God, like be careful because you're going to get real sick. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. And then I did get really sick. I reckon I was like bedridden for about 2 weeks afterwards. Like my body, like I don't think I've ever been so sick. Yeah, my body like, yeah, apparently it needs to recalibrate from like the change in hormones. Yeah, which took a couple of weeks to do apparently.
So was it like a flu, like sickness that you had?
Yeah, it almost felt like it almost felt like COVID, like a really bad case of COVID. Like I had COVID the first time and I was like bedridden for like 2 weeks and it was like you get like muscle soreness, you can't really do much, like a lot of fatigue. It kind of felt like that almost.
Okay, so all of this has happened. Have you decided already while you're laying in bed and you're sick that you will be sterilized, or are you still thinking about what is the next option for me?
Oh, so I decided to go through, well, to start going through with a sterilization before I had got the rod removed.
Okay.
So that was like, yeah. So I was having all of these symptoms and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to get this taken out. And I'm going to then start looking into getting my, tubes, tied or removed. I didn't really know the difference at the time. And then, once I wasn't sick and dying anymore, which so like 2 weeks later, then I went to my GP, my usual GP, and then told him about the whole thing. And then, he gave me a referral to see the first gynecologist that I ended up seeing. And then he was the first person to tell me that it was going to be very difficult to try to get somebody to agree to tie my tubes, which I just didn't think it would. To be honest, I just never thought about it. I didn't think it would be difficult or not difficult. It was just not something I ever really thought about. And then, he's like, nobody will probably do it for you because you're single and you've got no kids. And I'm like, is that a thing? Like, it's not the 50s. He goes, no, it's still a thing. And I'm like, okay, that's wild. And I went down this deep rabbit hole on Reddit. And everyone was saying the same thing. Like there were stories of like women getting knocked back, or like women having their gynos want like parental permission or their partner's permission. Even like women with kids were saying that they were having trouble finding someone to like perform the surgery and they like already had kids. So I was like, okay, this is interesting and unexpected. So I didn't have high hopes that it would be a quick thing, which it wasn't. It was not a quick thing. I ended up, so the first gyno I actually went to did actually end up agreeing to do the surgery. I did have my parents come with me to the appointment though. Everyone on Reddit said that would be beneficial to have your parents come.
Why? Just so they can say she's not crazy.
Well, a lot of people were saying that the gynos wanted like parental permission, and I'm like, okay. So I didn't know if that was a real thing or not, but people on Reddit were saying it. So I was like, okay, I'll just bring my parents with me just in case. Yeah.
And why does being single have an impact?
So from what I ended up learning, it's like a very high risk of liability, like the surgery, because it's not always reversible. So a lot of gynos were getting sued for performing the surgery, and so that's why they don't like doing it now. Yeah.
So even if you
Apparently that's
sign a
happening.
form to say you consent to the procedure, they can still get sued afterwards? That's
Yeah,
really...
so this is the weird thing that I'm like not really sure how it all works, but yeah, that was what I was told, is like, yeah, like lots of women are turning around and suing their gynos for doing this, and I'm like, that's I signed whenever I've had surgery, I've had to sign so
Yeah.
much paperwork.
Mhm.
So I don't know how that's possible, but
Okay.
yeah.
So you said it took 8 months to get to the point where you actually had the surgery. What was the actual surgery and recovery like for you?
Oh my God, the recovery was so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've had like cosmetic surgeries done before. Like I've had my nose done, I've had my breasts done, and I feel like going into those surgeries, I had an expectation that it was going to be very painful and that I was going to have to take, time off, and that I was going to be quite immobile during that time. Whereas for whatever reason, I think it's because it was keyhole surgery, the tubal. Oh wait, what? I don't even know what the official name of the surgery is. So I ended up having my tubes removed, and it was just keyhole surgery. I just assumed it would be very quick and painless, and that the next day I was going to be fine. I don't know why I thought that. I just thought because it was like a tiny little 2 cuts on either side. It was not it was not quick and easy and painless like I thought. So the next day, and then I think the next day, and I think for the next like 3 days, I couldn't walk, like basically at all.
Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
yeah, it was really bad. I was like limping, and then I had like really bad cramps for about 2 weeks afterwards. I don't know if it's normal, but it was really painful for me, and yeah, I just wasn't expecting it, because in my head I was like, I'm going to be fine the next day, and then I was not fine for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. And how long ago was it that you had the surgery? How long has it been now?
I think it was the 27th of exactly a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling now?
Fine now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a very hard 2 weeks.
And in terms of your emotions around it, do you feel relief, empowerment, grief, clarity? What kind of emotions are attached to it?
So the first few days, I felt this like weird feeling that it felt like something in my body was like missing. Which I guess makes sense because I literally did have like parts of my body removed. It wasn't in like I regret this kind of way. It was just like, it was like a really weird feeling. Like I felt like I was missing a limb. I don't know how else to explain it. It just felt like a part of my body was missing, it's true. Like a part of my body was technically missing. I did have my tubes taken out. So yeah, it was this weird kind of feeling that I was like, my body just felt a little bit incomplete, but that only lasted like a few days. And I think that it might've just been in my head. Like, I don't think, and then like I post, so that for the next few days after, I was posting a lot about it on TikTok, and then a lot of girls were saying, like a lot of girls were commenting saying that they had had the surgery and then felt worse after having the surgery, but like as in like physically worse, like they had like physical issues, or that like, it made their periods worse, or that they had prolonged pain afterwards. And so that started freaking me out, because I'm like, oh my God, like what if like this is like, I don't know, done something. Like, what if this is going to make things worse for my body? You don't really know. It's always a risk when you're doing surgeries. So yeah, there was like a lot of people commenting. Well, I would say majority of people that commented saying that they had had the surgery done said that they were happy that they had it done. But then there were a few people that were like, oh, I've had, my periods have been worse, or I've had constant back pain or cramping or this pain or other issues ever since getting it done. So then I started getting scared, being like, oh my God, what if that's me? So then I had like a few weeks where I was freaking out a little bit, thinking like, like, how is my body going to be afterwards? But then, yeah, so I'm almost exactly 1 month now post surgery, and I like my hormones feel fine. Because that was another thing, people were commenting saying that their hormones got worse, or their libido got worse after the surgery. So I was like, God, I hope none of that happens to me. And yeah, it hasn't. which I hope that I would know by now if something was going to be wrong. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel exactly the same now. And yeah, no grief, no loss feeling. I
Mhm.
feel no different
Mm.
to before I had it done, which is good. That's kind of what I wanted to feel like. Yeah.
Mhm. So after the surgery, you do still have a normal cycle. You still menstruate, get your period.
Yes. So
Mhm.
what apparently happens is you still you go through the same cycle. You still produce an egg, and you still like the lining in your in there. I
Mhm.
don't know all the scientific terms. Yeah, so you
Mhm.
still all of the lining that like needs to be shed still gets like made and then still sheds like out with your period. The only difference is that the egg uh doesn't go down, like doesn't drop down because obviously there's no tube there, but the ovaries don't know that there's no tube there. So apparently what happens if there's a blockage, which there is, the egg just gets like reabsorbed
Ah.
back into your body somehow. So yeah, I know it's like a whole weird thing. And I'm like, that's really weird that like my body's just going to eat my egg
Mm.
again. Yeah. So basically your body just eats it.
Okay, fascinating. I had no
But then
idea.
yeah, so I don't even know if I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if I'm explaining
Mhm.
it correctly, but that's kind of how it was explained to me.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
And what about your erotic life now? Has removing the possibility of pregnancy changed your experience of sex and sexuality?
Uh no, I still enjoy sex just as much, and I still get just as horny. I
Mhm.
don't, can I say that on here?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, it's R-rated. You can say
Oh,
whatever you
good.
like.
Okay, yeah, I still get just as horny, which that was like I'm very horny all the time. Like, and
Mhm.
I have been, and getting off contraception actually made me so much hornier. And I mean, I liked it. Like, I liked that I was horny all the time. I did like that. So I was very much hoping that it wouldn't change that, and it hasn't, which is good. In terms of it almost feels like it basically kind of feels like I'm on contraception again, which, you know, is just sex still just feels normal and stuff. But there was like, I guess, this is probably bad to say, but if I had unprotected sex while I was off contraception and then
Mm.
hadn't, like before I had my tubes removed and then after I'd got off contraception, I feel like sex felt like there was like an element of risk
Yeah.
in it that kind of made it, I wouldn't say it made it better. It made it like there was like, it did make it a little bit more fun when there was that risk element there. I know it's so bad to say, but it's
No,
just true.
people love taboo. People love risk. People love taboo. You're just being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone understands that. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's I never felt like that when I was having sex on contraception. It was
Right.
just, you know, having sex just felt good and it just felt kind of, you know, normal as it does. And then yeah, getting off it, I was like, oh, this is really naughty. This is like, I really shouldn't be doing this. This is very risky. And yeah, and there was that extra heightened like element of risk that made it a little bit more fun. And obviously I don't have that now anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
now it just feels exactly the same as like when I was on contraception, which again isn't a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's just that little bit of risk that made it a little bit more fun isn't there anymore.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ground this part of our conversation in some research because women opting out of motherhood are often treated as personal rebellion, not social reality. And there's a study I found by sociologist Kelly Park titled Stigma Management Among the Voluntarily Childless. And in it, she explores how women who choose not to have children often face assumptions of selfishness, immaturity, trauma, or eventual regret. Have you noticed yourself managing other people's discomfort about your decision at all?
Oh yeah, my whole life.
Mm.
Because it wasn't like the way that I kind of explain it to people when people like say to me like people will try to tell me that I don't know what I want or that I'm going to change my mind. And then like the analogy that I always say to them is I'm like, how did you know that you were straight? right? And they're like, well, I just knew. I'm like, okay, so you don't need to go and justify how you're straight. You just, you turned, 5 or 6 or however old you were, and you saw either a guy or a girl or whatever. I mean, this analogy applies the same way as like if you're gay or whatever. Just how do you know you're gay or straight? You just know, right? From a young age, you just know. I felt the same with like not wanting kids. It's just something that I just always knew from like, I didn't just wake up one day and was like, I just feel like I just don't want kids ever again. Like that's not how it went. It's just something I just always knew. And yeah, a lot of people said that I would change my mind, and I was a little bit more I always thought that I was never going to change my mind, but it didn't bother me as much when I was younger. Like, being told you're going to change your mind when you're 12 years old, you're like, anything can happen when I grow up, right? And then, when I got to like my 20s, it started getting a little bit more annoying. And then I got to 30 and people are still telling me that I'm not old enough to know what I want. And what I don't understand is so many people in the comments on my TikTok were like, 30 is way too young to make a permanent decision. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't a kid a permanent decision? Yeah. So I'm not too young to make a permanent decision on having kids, but I'm too young to make the permanent decision on not having them. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't be too young to do something and then too old, like, or old enough, like, to do the reverse. It doesn't make any sense. So, I don't know. I don't think I've been treated as not that I've felt like being treated as like lesser or anything like that, but definitely the regret thing. I get a lot of that from people, and I'm like, I'm 30 years old. Like, once upon a time, 30 was really old. It's only like in recent times where 30 is now considered young. 50 years ago, 30 was very, very old. Like, if you hadn't had kids by 30, like 50 years ago, you were probably considered too old to even have them to begin with. Now, all of a sudden, it's too young. I don't understand it. Yeah.
And what about selfish? Has anyone suggested that you're selfish and projected that onto you for not wanting to have children?
Yeah, a few comments on TikTok have said something like that, or that I'll never know love.
Oh.
Which I'll never know love or anything like that. And I'm like, that is actually really sad that you don't know what love is, like, by whatever age you are. Like, so I like that. Saying that doesn't make me feel insecure about myself. It actually makes me feel sorry for you that you have never experienced love. And love can take like all different forms. Like, that's something that I have heard from people as well. Like, oh yes, you will never know, love until you have a kid. I think that like love is a spectrum. You experience love in all different ways. Like, the way you love a dog is different to the way you love like a sibling or a grandparent or a friend, right? So obviously the way you love a kid is not going to be the same as the way you love a grandparent or a dog or a husband. So I just because it's a different kind of love, that doesn't like disclude all of the other loves that one can feel in their life. It's just different. Like, the way that I love a certain food is, again, going to be different to the way that I love a friend. It doesn't mean that I don't love that food.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand that. And yeah, it honestly, it doesn't bother me. And I got a few comments as well from people being like I don't know, like, they don't know how I've like managed to like not cave to pressure. And I feel sorry for people that feel like they have to have kids.
Yeah.
Because they just think that they have to. And I actually see this a lot. I think a lot of people who are parents did it not because they wanted to, but because they thought that they had to, or because their partner wanted them to, or their parents wanted them to. And people think that regretful parents are not like that, they're not a real thing, but they definitely are. I see a lot of them at work. So with my work, I meet a lot of divorced dads or single dads or unhappily married dads, and I meet a lot of regretful parents. So they do definitely exist. Being a parent doesn't mean that you will not regret it. So I'd rather regret not having kids than regret having them.
Very well said. Very well said. So let's talk about that other major pivot in your life that you've just mentioned. So you said that you were once an accountant and now you've moved into being a professional girlfriend as your career.
Yes.
What caused that shift in your life?
So during COVID, I had a quarter life crisis. So I think I was like 25 when I just realized I don't really like this job. So I went to uni. So I went to private school, went to year 12, got my HSC or ATAR, whatever it is that they're calling it now. Went to uni doing a Bachelor of Commerce, and then didn't really know much about business or the world of business. All I thought in my mind is that I wanted to be like Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like, you know, back then people just weren't really making money online. Social media wasn't really a big thing. Just making money online or in the creative space just wasn't a big thing like it is now. I always did consider myself to be more creative, more of a talker. I always wanted to do something creative, but back then there was just like no money in the creative space. It was just not really a thing. This is, you know, this is a long time ago. Like, what am I now? So I'm 30 now. So when I was like picking my uni degree, that would have been 12 years ago. So the world was very different 12 years ago. Yeah, not as much money in the creative space. And I was like, I want to make good money. And I thought like going into business would make good money. Obviously, that's not the case these days. But back then, working in business was considered a good, high-paying job. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like Wolf of Wall Street. And then somehow I ended up majoring in accounting, and it was just not what I thought it was going to be. It didn't pay as much as I thought it was going to. The work was a lot harder. I mean, I expected the work to be hard, but the work was insane. The hours were insane. What was expected of us for so little money was just insane. And I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And I didn't mind working hard or doing complex work, but for the little amount of pay that I was getting, I did mind. And then during COVID, that's when like social media started blowing up and a lot of people started making money online. And I was like, I reckon I could do that. So then OnlyFans came around and I just looked at it and thought, I think I could do that. Mm-hmm. I ended up not going straight into OnlyFans straight away. I did end up quitting my job when, COVID came around and everyone was making money online. And I was like, I'm, you know what? I think that I'm going to try and do something else for a little bit and see if I can make a different career for myself. And if not, I could have always come back to my old job. So I was like, I'm going to take a year off and I'm going to try doing some other stuff. So the first thing I tried doing was I always wanted to be a writer. So the first thing I did was I applied to jobs doing like businessy type writing. So at like ComSec or the AFR, I think the Australian Financial Review, they all had like positions to like write about companies and stocks and things like that, the market. And I was like, okay, at that time I had 2 business degrees because I just finished my graduate diploma of chartered accountancy. So I'm like, all right, surely I can be employed by to do writing about business. I couldn't. Turns out they wanted somebody with a writing degree, which didn't make any sense to me because I don't know what a journalist would know about companies and stocks. But that was the policy at all of these places is you had to have a writing degree, even though you're writing about things that I actually studied at uni. So whatever. And then I couldn't get a job anywhere. I ended up enrolling in my Masters of Creative Writing because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to get a writing degree if I want to be a writer. That was a 1.5-year degree. And I was like, okay, I'm going to need some money to fund my degree and my life while I'm trying to pursue my dream of being a writer. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to start an OnlyFans. So originally that wasn't the plan. If I had gotten accepted at any of these other places as a writer, I'd probably be a writer by now. So that was a plan B, was OnlyFans. And then started doing that. And I only had one other friend at the time that had an OnlyFans. And so her and I hung out a lot to like do content together. And then so she was originally an escort and then she stopped escorting during COVID and then started doing OnlyFans. And then obviously out of lockdown, started escorting again. And she was like, oh, Kat, I think you'd be really good at this. And I'm like, I don't think that that's for me. And then after a few months, she ended up like wearing me down. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm pretty bored. Okay. Like I'll just try it. If I don't like it, seeing one person isn't going to kill me. That's how I thought about it anyway. I'm like, it's just one person. It should be fine. Anyway, so I did it and I was like, well, this was, it like I didn't hate it. And it was very easy money. And then I was interested in it and I liked the money. And then I kind of kept at it. And then I ended up being like, oh, I like this. And I see this as like a good business model. And I see this as something that I could be really good at. And then that's when I started taking it more seriously. So I first started at an agency. So I was at like an escort agency for a few months. And then I was like, I think I could make more money doing this myself. And then I left, went independent, and then, managed my own brand and pages and ads and all that. And then I did end up still finishing my writing degree, but I don't use it because then this ended up taking off, and I didn't think that so many opportunities would come out of being an escort. It shocked me as well. And then because more money and more opportunities kept coming my way, so I was like, I'm just going to ride this out. And here I am. I think I've been doing it for about 4 years now. Yeah.
So what kind of opportunities have opened up for you through this work?
I've featured in multiple magazines, Maxim, Playboy, FHM, Forbes one time.
Wow.
News articles. So I've been published in news articles everywhere. I've been on radio heaps of times. I started a podcast. I had a podcast for like 2 years. A podcast won, I think, 2 or 3 awards.
Wow. Awesome.
At the Australian Adult Industry Awards. I hosted the Australian Adult Industry Awards twice, and I'm hosting them again this year.
Cool.
What else? What else? I have my own like fleshlight type toy.
Oh, do you? Awesome.
Yeah, I know, which is so random. Even just like starting my own TikTok and like getting that going as well is so random. I feel like I've probably done other things, but it's just a lot of like little. I featured in a documentary about the adult industry. So lots of little things that like I didn't even know that like being in the adult industry could like get me on like the cover of Playboy. Like it's just so random.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you've said that becoming a sex worker has shaped your understanding of eroticism. What have you learnt about the erotic from your time as a professional girlfriend?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, God, I feel like I've learnt. Yeah, I have learned a lot. Let me think. Well, so the main thing that I've learned is that pleasure. Not everybody feels pleasure in the same way, and not everyone likes the same things. So that was something that took time being in the industry to learn. And even just like, that good sex, like you can be like, I might be, a client could come and see me and think that I'm like the best ever. And then somebody else could come and see me and say I'm like the worst ever. So you can't really always be good at everything, and not everyone likes the same thing. And I like the first probably a few months in this industry, I kind of just did the same things with every client. And then some clients didn't really like the way that I did things. And then it took time to be like, oh, okay, so, not everybody likes the same things. And you actually kind of have to like read and listen to a person. And that actually asking what someone likes is actually like really sexy. And I don't think enough people talk about things that they like. And I even hear it from like even my clients will like come and talk to me about like if they're having issues with their wife, like, the sex life isn't what it used to be. And the first thing I say is like, oh, like, have you spoken to your wife about it? And the answer is always no. And I'm like, well, if you're having issues in the bedroom with your wife and you want them fixed, don't you think she's the first person you should be asking about like, what can we do about this? And they're like, no, I just never thought of talking to her about that. I'm
goodness.
Like, well, that's probably step one, I would think. People just like do not talk about what people like. And I'm sure the answer would be something really simple. Like I'm sure it would probably like, oh, if we got a babysitter for the kids for the weekend and then you cooked me dinner and did the washing up, that would turn me on. It's probably something that simple for a lot of couples. And and then they just do not talk about things that they like. Yeah, because I had to learn that. I had to learn to, for clients to communicate to me and for me to communicate to them. I do like this, I don't like this. And I think so many people's sex lives would be better if they just communicated what they like. A lot of people are pretty receptive, I think. A lot of people, and I've also noticed as well, is that a lot of people, men and women, they do like to please. Obviously not everybody and not always, but a lot of men do actually want their woman that they're with to be also having a good time. So if you can tell them what it is that they can do to make it a good time for you, that a lot of them would be pretty happy to do that thing. Yeah. That's probably the main thing I've learned.
Amazing. So how has working as a professional girlfriend impacted your private dating life?
I don't think it has that much. Obviously, dating seriously is slightly harder. I do have flings and I have like fuck buddies. Yeah, actual boyfriends. Like I've had a few guys that I've had flings with over the years that I've actually really liked and wanted something serious with. And then my job ended up being an issue for them. So yeah, having someone that doesn't want me to quit my job is that I actually like that's a little difficult, but I've not really worried about it too much. Like I consider myself to be still pretty young and I don't want kids, so I don't have a body clock. So if I find my dream guy when I'm 45, 50, 60, it doesn't really matter too much to me because I'm not running out of time. Since there's really like not having a body clock is quite freeing. Yeah, because the main issue, especially when you get to around my age, so especially when you get to like 30, like I have a lot of friends, like most of my friends are around my age, right? Most of them are in relationships, some of them aren't. And yeah, that is a sentiment that I do hear once you start getting around the 30-year-old mark, is like, got to quickly find someone because, I want to be dating them for a little bit. And then, you don't want to have kids as soon as you get married. But then, so that means I have to find someone now because then it's going to be, then I might be 34 before I can have my first one. And if I want 3 kids, then I got to start, getting serious with somebody like today. So that is the sentiment that I hear a lot of around this age. I don't have that worry. Thankfully. So I'm kind of just doing my own thing, just working on my business. My business is my baby right now. So kind of just focused on that. And yeah, I have fuck buddies that tend to my needs outside of work. I do still get really horny outside of work. Some girls in this industry don't. Right. Or don't like doing stuff outside of work. I feel like I need to especially because like, as I said, like earlier in the show, the way that I am outside of work, which is more submissive, I'm not like that at work. So it's like I need the outside of work sex to allow myself to get in that more like submissive, vulnerable state with a guy that I trust, that I don't get from work. So it's I need that cup filled outside of work. Yeah, I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it sure does. So you share about yourself and your work very openly. Have you always been confident in your sexuality, or was that something that you've grown into?
Yeah, I've always been pretty sexual. I was, not politically correct, but I'm allowed to refer to myself as this. I was definitely a slut in high school. I definitely slept around. I was always horny. So before getting in the industry, I had a lot of sex with a lot of different people. Now I just get paid for it. But yeah, I've always been pretty open about talking about stuff. Even with friends before getting into the industry. Obviously, I'm a lot more open about more details of things nowadays. But yeah, I've always been a pretty open person about just about everything in my life. Yeah.
And one of the traditions on the podcast is exploring a quote with you. And today's quote is from Carol Lee, who was also known as the Scarlet Harlot. And she was an American artist, author, filmmaker, sex worker, and sex workers' rights activist. And she actually coined the term sex work when she famously said, "Sex work is work." So when you hear this quote, does it feel validating, or do you feel like it flattens something more complex? Do you see your job as work or something more?
I see it as a job like any other. And I think more people should see it as a job. I feel like I don't even know what people think it is that we do, but a lot of people don't consider it to be work, but it is. It's an exchange of goods and services, right? Like you would never see like a therapist who is just talking to you, right? People are happy to like pay therapist money to like just chat to you, but are not happy for people to pay money to us to, chat to us or like, have sex with us. It's like a massage, again. So like a massage, people understand that that's work. What we do is basically the same thing. It's just a little bit more erotic, right? And it requires the same level of marketing and punctuality and organization and dedication as any other job. Well, if you're doing this right, if you're like a career sex worker, obviously there's a lot of girls that, maybe don't take it as seriously or just do it, kind of dabble in it on the side. But girls that do this as like a full-time career like myself, we treat it as a business, which it is. Yeah. And I think more people need to see it like that, because a lot of people just think the sex industry is just something you can just throw away or like make illegal or just cancel or just like, legislate us out of existing. It's just not. Like, it's not going to work. Yeah. Yeah. Like we are servicing a demand that is there.
Yes. And will always be there.
Yes. It's the oldest profession for a reason.
You've said that you identify as submissive, and as we can all hear, you're also a businesswoman that's in charge. What do you feel people misunderstand most about a woman who is both sexually sovereign and erotically submissive? Do you think people see you as just one or the other quite often?
Interesting. I feel like people can switch, but and I guess it depends on the circumstance as well. Like I enjoy being submissive. That's what gives me the most pleasure in the bedroom. But you can't be like that in a work situation all the time. Like, and a lot of people do present themselves one way at work and then a different way at home. I worked in an office once upon a time when I was in accounting, and there were a lot of people there that were very bossy and stern, and that might not be what they're like in their personal life. Yeah. I even have a lot of clients who have very like high powered jobs, and then they are very like sweet and vulnerable with me. And I'm assuming they're not like that at work. So I think that, I think most people change how they are to suit the environment that they're in. And I guess, and I think that's like it's a body's way of like defending itself, right? So if you think that you're going to get taken advantage of if you act vulnerable in a certain setting, then your body will not allow you to do that. Yeah. So that's like, so for in my job, it's kind of like the same thing. Like I need to have I need to present myself in like a kind of stern, don't fuck around with me kind of way to make sure that nobody fucks around with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see loneliness more than lust in your clients? Are a lot of people seeking connection when they book you, not just exploring desires?
Oh, 100%. Especially me, like moving into the kind of more professional girlfriend type role, which is which is basically like, yes, I'm still an escort, but the kind of clients that I see, it's usually for longer bookings. It's mostly regulars, and we mostly do really datey stuff. And for these clients, I am basically their like real life girlfriend. Like, so the kind of like niche that I'm in, the clients that are seeing me, they're seeing me because they want to like basically make me their fake girlfriend. And they're not getting that in the outside world. Like I'm fulfilling that like intimacy and connection, emotional, like that emotional connection that they're not getting. And these clients are like, they're not, they're over dating, or they've had a tough time dating. Yeah. I very rarely get clients these days that just come in and want to bang, and then they leave and then I never see them again. They're not booking me.
Right.
I used to get like back when I first started, I kind of got a mixed bag of clients, and I used to get a lot of bookings where it would be like I would see a client and then never see them again. That was a lot of the bookings that I had. Whereas nowadays, with the kind of niche that I'm in, yeah, I would say it's like 99% guys that want an emotional connection. They want to hold my hand. They want me to spoon them. They want me to like, hold them while we watch a movie, and they want to like laugh and be really vulnerable and tell me their like deepest, darkest secrets while they're like giving me a foot massage. It's literally like what you would do with like a boyfriend or a husband. That's basically what my clients and I do together. And like, that's what they want. Yeah.
And a lot of people thinking about your job wouldn't think it was that intimate. So it's really interesting to hear that side. Has working in the industry changed your views on relationships or monogamy?
A little bit. I find it hard to think about how monogamy can work because I've seen it not work a lot in this industry. I'd like to think that it can work. I have my doubts though, but I guess like, that's probably the only like con of being in this job is that you see a lot of failed relationships, right? You hear about a lot of sexless marriages. You see a lot of divorcees that have gone through like really messy divorces and things like that. So yeah, my views on monogamy have changed. Like I used to think when I was younger, before I was in this industry, I used to think that monogamy was just the only way. I didn't really think about anything different. Yeah. Whereas now I'm like, I see where it doesn't work out all the time. So now I don't know if it can. I think that a relationship needs to be open in some way for it to work. I don't know if my view on that is going to change over time, but yeah, that's. I think I just see too much of where relationships that are monogamous, I just see them go wrong. Yeah, that's the only thing I see. I never see them go right because obviously if things are going right, the husband's probably not seeing me. Yeah, I'm not hearing about all of the good stories. Yeah.
Now, one of the questions I always ask my guests is about a peak erotic experience that they've had. So I'm curious to hear this from you, if you're okay to share. When you think about a peak erotic experience of yours, what comes to mind?
My first threesome with 2 guys.
Oh, you knew straight away. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I knew. Yeah, that was like a life. That was like my ultimate fantasy, like my whole life. And that was the one good thing about this industry is that it has allowed me to fulfill a lot of fantasies, that being one of them. Yeah.
Okay. It was while you were working. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about your future? What are you looking forward to exploring or having more of in your eroticism in the future?
Oh, yeah, more of that. I've only ever it was only ever that one time that it was mean to you guys. I'm hoping more of that. Yeah, hoping a lot more of that. And then I just learning more about myself. I feel like, sometimes I think like, oh, I've explored everything in the bedroom. And then maybe like, one or 2 times a year, I might, have a intimate encounter and be like, oh, I've not had that happen before. I've not seen that or felt that, and I like that. So sometimes I'm still learning new things. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to learning new things about myself. And looking forward to growing my business and seeing how if the services that I provide will change further over time. So like, for instance, being in this more like girlfriendy type niche, that's not how I was when I first started. That's where I'm at now. And then I'm like, oh, is that going to change into or morph into something different in the future? Yeah. So, and hopefully my business grows.
I'm sure it will. And finally, if you had to sum up your eroticism in one word and one word only, what would that word be and why?
Oh, good question.
It's a hard one.
Yeah. Just horny. I don't It's the only thing that comes to mind. I'm just really horny all the time.
I love
don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best word to explain it, but yeah, that's just what I feel. I'm just always horny.
Yeah, it's honest. It's true. Why not? So where can people find out more about you and what you have to offer?
So I've got a website. It's just KatijaCortez.com. Cortez.com. That's Katija with a J, so Katija, Cortez.com. Yeah, you can find all my stuff there.
Wonderful. Well, Katija, thank you for sharing your erotic realm. You've shown that autonomy and surrender can coexist, and that when a woman chooses her body and her path, it doesn't make her radical, it makes her sovereign. And it's been a real pleasure exploring your eroticism.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Erotic Realm Podcast. This is an independent podcast. If you want to see more episodes made, you can support it at psychologyofdesire.com by becoming a paid subscriber and entering the realm with many other supporters. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize kink and desire in all of its forms. And we can't do that without you. Until the next time, stay perverted.